Now, eNCA's head of, or rather ANC's head of economic transformation, Enoch Godongwana, says the early release of the economic paper drafted by Finance Minister Tito Mboweni was justifiable. Details on the paper will be shared tomorrow. Godongwana was speaking at the official release of the BEE Economics Transformation, this in South African Asset Management Survey. Now, he says the ANC won't use pension funds to bail out state-owned enterprises, and ENCA's Heidi Giokos joins me now to, of course, discuss that. Heidi, thank you for joining us. Let's talk about what exactly happened today.
Specifically speaking to the fact that ANC's head of economic policy, Enoch Godongwana, was a keynote speaker at this release of the survey, and he basically spoke about how, sorry, I've just lost my train of thought.
No, it's okay. I think I confused because of the eNCA.
Yes,
it is the ANC.
I was a bit confused. So basically, this is what happened.
Yeah.
So he was speaking to the fact that tomorrow at 11 o'clock, there will be a feedback on the economic draft paper that was released by Finance Minister Tito Mboweni. There was a lot of backlash that came at the back of that paper being released. And the reason for that was because you had a situation where people were saying they weren't consulted. The alliance parties of the ANC were saying that they weren't consulted. They were very worried about, the labor factor within that economic draft paper and how it's going to affect job losses moving forward. So there was a massive uproar about that economic paper. The big issue is, what was the point of him actually writing this paper? It's over 700-page documents. What's the point of the finance minister doing so if nobody's accepting it and implementing this economic draft paper? But Enoch Godongwana is saying that he understands the uproar. He says it's justifiable, though, why the paper was released at the time it was released. And he says that an economic narrative needs to be created because rating agencies are looking at South Africa very closely. But let's listen to further details of what Enoch Godongwana had to say about that.
There's a press conference at 11 tomorrow. I'll be part of the press conference at 11 tomorrow, but at a high level without dealing with the detail of the paper. Part of what Tito did, there were two processes in place. There was a government internal process which was kind of concluded on the 19th. They had a meeting on the 19th. There was an internal ANC process which started in Cape Town. We had an ANC TC in Cape Town and put up a team which was dealing with the paper. But then Tito released the paper. Justified, in my view, for a number of reasons. The first one, because the paper was circulated to a number of people, it was going to be leaked. And if it was leaked, it was going to be given different spins. So we said, fine, that's one of the reasons. But secondly, although there are three other things consideration must take into account, South Africans want an economic narrative, right? To the extent that that paper is beginning to place that economic narrative on the agenda is correct. Thirdly, we'll be hitting rating agencies soon. The rating agencies are going to require some economic narrative that it needs a document that spells that out. And lastly, he's going to be talking to the medium-term budget policy statement. That must be underpinned by an economic narrative. So to that extent, it was we all agreed, Tito and I were called by the officials who tried to explain this issue, and everybody was okay. It was a mess, but it was a good mess.
Now, Heidi, I think what was also important was hearing Enoch Godongwana saying that the ANC would not be using pension funds to bail out SOEs.
Yes, and I think this is a big one because it's almost like the ANC has backtracked on its recent statement where it said that possibly government will be looking at taking government employees' pension funds to bail out struggling SOEs. We know the biggest one is Eskom. We know SAA is also struggling. So he's basically saying that it's a narrative that's being created and it's something that should not be believed, and it's a misunderstanding misunderstood narrative, basically saying that it's a proposal that was put on the table, but it's not as though it's written in stone. It's something that government is still looking at to determine whether or not they will be using government employees' pension funds to bail out those struggling pension funds, the struggling SOEs. And of course, it's a big one because you're working for your pension fund, you put your hard-earned salary into that, and now government wants to take that to bail out SOEs that have just been mismanaged. So it almost appears as though they've backtracked on that, but he says there's a process internally where they're trying to find some kind of solution to that narrative.
All right, then we'll have to wait and see it. Well, thank you so much, Heidi, for this update. There was our eNCA reporter, Heidi Giokos.